This is a graphic, before we go to the Euro Straits, this is a graphic that somehow, I don't know what happened, this is supposed to be way back in the front of my presentation, and it ended up way in back. I shifted something around. But I want to show you this before we proceed. This is very important. This was my lead-in graphic. Was the United States temperatures from 1880 up until present, the rise in carbon dioxide during the period, and we all know, yes, carbon dioxide went up. There's the temperatures, see those peaks I was talking about every 9 years, temperature peaks. Then you see a 10-year real warm period in the 1930s, real warm period now, and you had about 50 years of very cold weather in between. Most of us in the room here can remember 1950s, 60s, 70s, it was cold, it was cold. That's a normal global warming cycle. 2 10-year peaks with 50 years in between. That's what we're going in now. We're sliding off this second peak now. And we're going to be in this type of weather very soon, probably starting this coming winter. And that's, we're going to be in that for about the next 100, 150 years, and actually get colder than that. But anyway, as I continue on this slide, I red flagged this slide that was supposed to be in the beginning. From 1880 until about 1940, you'd say the temperatures are kind of remaining steady, right? Kind of steady. Carbon dioxide going up, and there's your peak temperature. Then there's our big 50-year cold period with carbon dioxide going up, 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 up. Do you see any relationship between carbon dioxide and temperature? No, you don't. So that was my lead. Now let's go back to the Arctic. let's go back to where it's even a little bit colder. Okay, the Euro Straits. This particular graphic came out a couple years ago in the American Meteorological Society, Journal of Climate. The Euro Straits, the red, is warm water. This is Euro Straits, that's Denmark, Sweden area, Russia, Alaska, northern Canada, Greenland. What happened is in 1990, a warm water pulse came up out of the North Atlantic. It takes it 13 years to circulate around the Arctic. 13 years. That's when the ice started to melt up there. Remember, ice up there doesn't melt from the top down. 80% of the ice is underwater. It melts from the bottom up. So you have to have warm water. Then in 1999, a second pulse, an extremely warm pulse, came up in, and we had major ice melting during the next 9 years. Major. And then there's a third one coming up in 2008. So let's get back to my gravitational cycles I'm talking about. 1990, 99, and 2008. That's the gravitational cycles, the strong ones. There's the warm water pulse in 1990, 1999, and 2008. You see a correlation? What happens is you get this very strong 46% above normal gravitational pulse, and it pulses water right up into the Arctic. A typical global warming cycle will have one very warm pulse, like in 1999, and on either side of it, a warm pulse, but it's not quite as warm. And that's what happened. They go up around the Arctic. It takes 13 years for it to go up around. The last one coming up in 2008, it takes 13 years for it to completely cool down. 2008, and 13 is 2021. It'll be 100% gone. By 2018, it'll be almost gone. By 2014, it's already starting to cool down pretty good. So here we are in this this part of the global warming cycle, we're ready to just fall right off the table as the Arctic starts to freeze up. And, that's branching again, this is the last graphic. I was showing the gravitational cycles on a 9-year cycle, and there's one on 230, this is one on 230-year cycle. We're stretching it out to 230 years, the gravitational cycle. But red is back to the year 949 AD. I go back a few years, usually the IPCC people like to go back to 1950 or 1880. I'm going back to 949 AD, 1100 years ago. This is the temperature. That's the global warming cycle, global warming cycle, global warming cycle, and our global warming cycle. The yellow is the full moon strong cycle, which I took mean values of. What we want to do is see what happens on the lunar cycles in comparison to the temperatures. Well, in 1275, the lunar cycle came down, and this is kind of inverse, so this is actually the peak, strongest part of the lunar cycle when it hits the base. So it came down, hit the base, strongest part of the lunar cycle. Most likely it caused the strong pulse of warm water into the Arctic. So there is a peak, 10-year peak in Earth's temperature right there. On the right-hand side, same thing, strongest part of the lunar cycle, the 10-year peak in temperatures. Probably another extremely warm pulse of water into the Arctic. Then, when we come off the lunar cycle, look at the temperatures fall like a rock for the next 100 years. Extreme global cooling. Then we come down the lunar cycle, hits the strongest part of the cycle in the year 1530, a 10-year warm peak. Then on the right-hand side of the cycle, a 10-year warm peak. We come off the cycle, drastic, very rapid global cooling. Next cycle, we come down, 1755, 10-year warming peak. Near 1800, 10-year warming peak. We come off the cycle, drastic global cooling, and this was the year of no summer in 1816. And now, here we are, bam, down to the strongest part, 1930. 1930s. The Dust Bowl, very warm. 2012, look where that dot is. And went fast. And anyway, we came off it. We're coming off the cycle right now, heading into dramatic, fast global cooling. This is my summary, last slide. Climate prediction, next 100, 200 years. Phase 1, beginning right now. We're going to be going into weather similar to the 1960s. Very, very soon. Phase 2 will be about year 2018 to 2020. Rapid cooling again, coming similar to about the 1880s. Coldest temperatures will be in the year 2024 to 2050. Could even be earlier than 2024, the coldest temperatures. And they're going to fall so fast that we're going to have jeopardy of some worldwide worldwide crop failures are quite possible. Ocean levels, this is what you want to hear. IPCC claims half of the sea level rise during the past 100 years is what they call thermostatic. Thermosteric. That which means during the past 100 years, the oceans have warmed. When anything warms, it expands. So a little over 50% of the ocean rise during the past 100 years is because the oceans have warmed and expanded. So now, when we go into this very rapid global the oceans are going to cool and contract. So my prediction is that ocean levels will not increase after the year 2020. Two reasons. The Arctic and Antarctic will be freezing up again. And also the oceans will be cooling, contracting, and you could even have a sea level fall by that time. FEMA, and I've talked to people in many states, they're all upset about FEMA, the government programs on forcing the issues. This is all United Nations. Agenda 21 in the United Nations. And I showed you the first slide before that research is not being done on natural cycles. It's being blocked. Even some of my climate talks are being blocked. They don't want you to know. And I'm not funded by, as I said, I'm not funded by government agencies, oil companies. This is all on my own. So I'm being straight with you. And the next global warming cycle will be in about 125 years.
I should say
if you want to wait for warmer weather.
I should say 2140, shouldn't it?
Should what?
Did that say 2140?
20.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. About 2140 will be the next peak of the global warming cycle. Okay, and that's all I have. If you have any questions. I know it's a lot of material to absorb.
The Milankovitch cycles, I think you believe those are primarily responsible for the cooling and warming?
For about every 116,000 years for interglacial, yes. And also, to some degree, the ones that come every 220 years that I'm showing gravitational. Also, the sunspots link into it to some degree. But I feel it's primarily the gravitational cycles. And you saw how I link it up to the pulses of warm water into the Arctic.
But those gravitational cycles occur every 250 or so years? 200?
Gravitational cycles about every 210, 230. Okay. 210, 230.
So my follow-up question is, all of the other natural forces, such as earthquake activity, not earthquake, but volcanic activity, like Krakatoa and the recent Icelandic eruption, as well as the volcanic activity underneath the ocean floor, and say the meteors that can hit the earth and plume up a bunch of dust. Do those, what real impact do those have? Do they have any real measurable impact to counterbalance those larger forces at play?
In a way, here's the major earthquakes, major volcanoes. I plotted all the major volcanoes going back to 949 AD. And by major, they measure them on a scale of 1 to 7, with 7 being the strongest. In 1815, the volcano was I believe it was a 6, and the year later was a year in no summer. What I'm going to show you here's all the strong volcanoes, and what I do is I take all the ones out. I want to show you the volcanoes, the strong ones, that come during the strong global cooling. The first 20 years of strong global cooling. Strong volcanoes. The white is a 7. A 7. The strongest you can get. And right here it was a 7. Excuse me, it was a 7. Tambora in the Philippines in 1815. And 1816 was a year in no summer. So they tie in if you get a real strong volcano during the first 20 years of global cooling. This first 20 years of global cooling, you're just cooling off so fast, like dropping a rock. And if you throw in a strong volcano, a 6 or a 7 rated volcano,